across the country. But still, many find themselves on the fence. Neither debates nor campaign platforms have been able to sway these voters. So for an inside look, we've gathered three of them in our studio today. Saad Siddiqui is in banking, Katie Hobbins is a social media marketer, and Trevor DePagey is a stockkeeper and musician. Welcome all three of you to Radioactive.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Good to have you here. First of all, I'll start with Katie, and I'm just going to go down the line just to get your ridings that you're in.
I live in Edmonton, Millwoods.
Edmonton, Wetaskiwin.
Edmonton, Strathcona.
Okay, so Ellerslie, Millwoods, and Wetaskiwin, you said? Strathcona, okay. Saad, I'll start with you. The election's getting closer and closer. Why are you still undecided?
Well, I feel like it's about choosing the best of the worst options for me personally. There are policies within each party that resonate with me. However, there's no clear-cut favorite. And then I also live in Edmonton, Wetaskiwin. So I live in the Ellerslie neighborhood that falls in Edmonton, Wetaskiwin.
Yeah.
Mike Lake is really well liked in that riding. And I believe he's won the last 4 elections. So if my riding, if 70% of people are going to vote for him anyways and vote Conservative, does my choice make a difference?
Right. Now, you helped with the Liberal campaign last election?
I did. I volunteered for them, knocked on doors with my pregnant wife. And this time around, I feel like the Liberal Party has that Alberta down, right? And what also weighs heavy on me is the conversation around Bill 21 in Quebec right now.
Right.
As a Muslim, as a minority, I feel like Trudeau hasn't been outspoken enough. And, this one issue is really important to me, really resonates with me highly.
Mm-hmm. And for those who don't know, Bill 21 is the Quebec bill that bans public workers from wearing religious symbols.
Correct.
Just to be clear on that. All right, Katie, how about you? Why are you still somewhat on the fence?
I would say I'm mostly on the fence based on how the first 4 years of Justin Trudeau have looked. I feel like 4 years ago I was a very excited Liberal voter, excited about the future with Justin Trudeau, and it just hasn't quite, it really hasn't turned out how I wanted it to, and I felt a little bit cheated by how he ended up playing out as our prime minister. And so for me, I would love to vote for the NDP candidate in my riding because I feel like that person more strongly aligns with what I'm interested in,
right,
what resonates with me. But for me, my riding is kind of a 2-horse race between Amarjeet Sohi and Tim Uppal.
And you don't dislike Amarjeet?
No, I actually really do like Amarjeet, and I think he's represented my specific riding well. Do I vote for Amarjeet because he represents me and my home, or do I vote for somebody where I feel the leader of the party more represents my views?
Right. Okay, Trevor, how about you? What's going through your mind?
Voter fatigue, mixed with an unhealthy dose of bad social media discourse.
Yeah.
I like the discussion. You're never going to change somebody's mind online. You kind of want to it's hard to sift through all the media. It doesn't matter what media source you're finding. There's always going to be a slant or a bias. And just trying to get, like what you were saying before, the best of the worst. It's kind of what it feels like, and it's kind of sad in its own way.
Right.
So
lesser of two evils.
Yeah. I hate that I've actually gone to look at the poll numbers. So my riding, it seems like it's somewhat neck and neck with the PCs and NDP. I like Heather McPherson. It's probably where I'm going with things. But I want to flesh it out and see, what all the parties are really about.
Yeah. So you've all, two of the three anyway, have mentioned Trudeau directly. I would be interested to know why he hasn't lived up to your expectations. What has it been for you both, Saad and Katie, and Trevor, you can chime in as well. But Saad, I'll start with you.
The reality is I feel like he's pandering to Quebec votes and pandering to the East Coast. That's how I look at it from the perspective of an Albertan, right? And the reality is, I like Trudeau, right? But I also like some of Scheer's policies as well, right? I've also been listening and telling to Jagmeet Singh through all these debates, and he's also come up as a really good leader, well-spoken. Seems like one of the people that's best able to represent me today. But I feel like, given that he wears a turban, and I hate saying it this way, I don't feel like he garners a lot of support in Quebec. So is he going to win? Do I waste a left vote voting for Jagmeet Singh? Right, so those are some of the questions that I ask myself.
Yeah. Katie, how about you in terms of just Trudeau not living up to your expectations. What has disappointed you?
Yeah, I think what disappointed me most recently is kind of the SNC Lavalin thing and how that played out with Jody Wilson-Raybould as well. I'm very concerned with sort of women's rights and being a representative of all Canadians and just being generally a good person. That matters to me a lot in a politician that I vote for. And it seems to just kind of be like misstep after misstep when I felt like I really backed him hard in the face of a lot of people who are quite conservative in Alberta. Like, I have friends who do work in the oil and gas industry, and it just makes it feel like I had his back and then he really bungled it.
And didn't have yours, maybe.
Not really. Not that he even knows who I am, but...
Yeah, exactly. But that's feeling, right?
Feels,
that's that emotion, for sure. Trevor, how about you? You like him? You don't like him?
I want to like him.
Okay.
I want to. I just think it's more what you're saying. It's just missed opportunity after missed opportunity. It could have, so much more could have happened, and that's really where that sits. I don't. Does he deserve to win? I don't think he deserves to win.
Yeah.
But does it? I don't know where I think that should sit.
We haven't talked about party platforms much, but kind of give me the big issue for each of you. What's been your big issue in this election that you wanted to hear about, wanted to maybe have addressed, and has or hasn't been? Katie?
My main issues would probably be climate change is important to me, of course, because climate change is real. Indigenous issues, I feel like Trudeau has done a lot of PR around that and maybe not a lot of actual meaningful action. And then as well as women's rights, I really do think that Trudeau is still the lesser of two evils, even in the face of other things that have happened in his recent missteps. I am scared of Scheer and his policies regarding women, so that bothers me.
And we're getting a lot of nodding from Saad when you mentioned Indigenous issues. But go ahead, Saad.
Okay, so I'll go back to 4 years ago. What was the knock on Harper, at least from my perspective? It was the missing Indigenous women. What came of that? Nothing. We said Harper muzzled scientists. Well, Trudeau muzzled Lady Justice, right, with the SNC Lavalin affair. So those are the issues, right, that tug on my heartstrings. And in regards to policies, reality is, I mean, I am pro-pipeline, but I also understand that climate change is a reality, right? I'm Muslim, I'm brown, I'm an immigrant. So immigration is also very important, subject matter. And I don't necessarily agree with each party on all these three single issues. So the question is, do I vote along pipelines? Do I vote along climate change, which is also very important to me? Or do I vote along immigration lines? Yeah. Right? And it's a really tough position to be in because I feel like a lot of Albertans may be socially progressive, but we still tend to be fiscally conservative, and no one really represents me today.
Yeah. Trevor, how about you? What issues are in the front of your mind?
Social issues, always. I mean, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what party you're with or for or against. You just want to get home at the end of the day, be with your people, your family, whatever that looks like. Just social issues. Yeah. So, I mean, any of the bigotry, there should be zero room for that. Any of the promises for across the board that have been made, they should be followed. And people matter. That's why we're here, right?
I want to play this for you. We spoke to one voter last week who usually leans conservative but is unsure this time around. She took to Twitter and asked all of the parties in her riding of Edmonton Mill Woods to convince her to vote for them. Here's Jackie Bondurant, if you want to listen to this.
Both the Conservative Party and the Liberal Party reached out to me, and actually the Liberal Party, he was the only one that tried to arrange a time for me to actually talk with him. I haven't been able to just because of my schedule, but he was very open to being able to do that. The Conservative Party reached out to me and said, send us your information via direct message and we'll get in touch with you. I did that. I've never heard anything back. The NDP party has not responded to me at all.
That's Edmonton Millwoods resident Jackie Bondurant talking about communicating with the parties and her writing on social media. My guests here in studio are Saad Siddiqui, Katie Hobbins, and Trevor DePagey, all undecided voters here in Edmonton. So, Katie, you're a social media marketer. What do you make of Jackie's experience?
That's funny. I actually know who Jackie is. I think that's not surprising given the work that Amarjeet has done for our community, and that's why my vote probably will go to him at the end of the day. I think that's a good way to try and get in touch with your parties, and it's a huge missed opportunity by the Conservative Party. If they can't even follow up with somebody who's willing to reach out to them and provide them the information, that's like bottom of the barrel when it comes to social media and social listening and responding
Communication.
to people.
Yeah. I have one final question. We're going to have to wrap up just because of time, but I want to ask all three of you, will you be voting on Tuesday? And if so, how will you make your final decision? I'll start with Katie.
Yes, nothing could make me apathetic enough to not cast a vote, because it is important in a democracy to always vote. As I said, I think I will be voting for Sohi. I'm going to take one last cruise through the party policies and each candidate and make my choice from there.
Saad?
I agree. I think it is an obligation for us as citizens to vote and cast our ballot. Even in a riding like mine, where I pretty much know that Mike Lake is going to win again. At this point, I'm still unsure, to be honest, because I think it's important to cast a vote in who I believe in, and I'm just going to read more over the next few days.
Yeah. Trevor, how about you?
I'm glad the apathy has made me actually look a little closer with all that's going on. So I think I'm going to be leaning towards Heather McPherson. I just think the characters are there in my candidate anyways.
Yeah. And in terms of the issues you spoke about that are important to you. So
absolutely, yeah.
Great to have all three of you in just to talk about this and walk through some of this with you and just find out where you're at. Appreciate you giving us some time today. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
That was our undecided voters panel. Saad Siddiqui works in banking. Katie Hobbins is a social media marketer. And Trevor DePagey is a stock keeper and musician. Great to have all three of them with us today on Radioactive.